Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now today's video is very different to the type of videos that I would normally upload. But today's video I kind of wanted to share. I was always going to share it, I just didn't know when the right time was. We are now in our second lockdown here in the UK, and I'm talking about this because this is something that I reached out for help with in the first lockdown. So I've just gone through my video footage to see when it was that I actually reached out for help, and it was in August, so the 5th of August. So it started in lockdown, and the days, we were only allowed out once a day to exercise. Pollyanna was off nursery, and it was a lot. We have 2 children. Adam was still working, although he helps out above and beyond more than what most partners probably do. All of this plays a contribution to it, because that was another thing I felt guilty for. So anyway, it started in August, and I was just noticing I was having a lot more down days than I was having good days. And I really noticed that every day I was waking up feeling negative. I noticed I wasn't being productive, I wasn't getting anything done. I was kind of wallowing in my sadness, if you will. I was sad, I was down. That was how I explained it to Adam. I just felt down, and I felt like I kept saying to him, this is normal, like it's okay, I feel like this because we're in lockdown, like this is like such a one-off experience. Like when we planned to have a second child, we never thought in a million years we would be stuck in the house with 2 children. Stuck, that is the only way I can explain it. I noticed I was having so many more days. It would get to the end of the day and I would just be sat there like gazing into thin air and just feeling really low. Like my moods were low more than they were up. Saw another influencer actually sharing her story, and she shared like a swipe up on her story, and I swiped up and it brought up all these different things like Samaritans, and if you're thinking of suicidal thoughts. I was in by no means thinking suicidal thoughts. There was a few things. So I was feeling tired a lot, but I've always felt tired. So to me, that wasn't anything new. I wasn't wanting to stay in bed all day. I was still eating. So there was a few things that didn't make it on the scale of things, depression. So, I feel like this video might be like so higgledy-piggledy. I'm trying to get it out as best as I can for anyone watching this that you may be feeling the same way. When I swiped up on this thing and it was like Samaritans and if you're thinking suicidal thoughts, and then I closed it down. I was like, no, that's not me, like I'm not there. And I started looking at self-help books. I looked for Vic's Meldrew, I think his name was. There's loads of self-help books on Amazon, but I never purchased any. I was looking and I just thought, am I being a bit much? Like, am I overthinking this? Do I need self-help books? And I was kind of judging myself for wanting to get a self-help book to kind of train my mindset to think differently. I then mentioned it to my friends, and it was something I hadn't done. I'd only mentioned it to Adam, that I was a little bit concerned about my down days, which is what I would call them, down days. So I mentioned it to my friends, and one of my friends actually shared me a direct link to Insight. I signed up straight away. It was so easy. I will leave the link in the description box below. You fill out your information, and within 2 days I was contacted back to be put on a waiting list, and I just felt really relieved that I was going to be speaking to somebody about it. So it was really easy, and I think it was 3 or 4 weeks until I received a phone call. So you kind of pick your date and pick your time slot, and then for the next 6 weeks, if you want more, you have up to an hour therapy session, CBT session. So I was having them every single Friday. I kind of never really thought I was going to make a video like this, but I think there is no shame in needing help or seeking help for anything, especially when it comes to mental health. And I'm sure there are lots of you out there who during COVID-19 and lockdown have been suffering in minor ways or severe ways with your mental health. I myself, I've just noticed that more than often, I am waking up kind of thinking, what am I going to do today? Like, I'm sad. I feel sad for no reason. I'm dreading the day. I'm looking forward to getting back into bed. Literally, as soon as the kids are asleep, I want to go to bed. Most of it is probably because I'm tired, but I think a huge part of it is because every day is like Groundhog Day, and the same things are happening every single day, and part of me feels like I'm stuck in a rut. I'm not being able to work because the two kids are not at nursery anymore. And yeah, I just noticed that I wasn't myself anymore. Don't get me wrong, I could wake up and feel a little bit low, and then I will go out for a walk and it would have gone completely. But then there are days when I don't want to get up and I don't want to go for a walk and I don't want to do anything. And I think that's when I kind of started to realise that there is something not quite right. So I have today spoke to the NHS. It was an online service that my friend actually recommended, that you just self-refer yourself for CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, to seek help. So of course you can go to your GP, but for me, I'm a little bit anxious of going to my GP. I don't know why. Perhaps it's because I'm scared that they'll put me on medication, which is at the moment something I don't want to happen. Of course, everyone takes different help. Things work better for people differently. I myself just want to try this CBT and counselling before I take it any further, because for me it's only been worse during lockdown, and I suffer with a little bit of anxiety. It's never been diagnosed, but I know it's anxiety. Things from like, I don't like crossing at zebra crossings because I think everyone's watching me, or when I was at school I wouldn't walk down the road unless I was on the phone to somebody, or now I probably won't go for a walk without my two kids in the pushchair. There's just loads of different forms of anxiety. I also suffer with social anxiety. So if we have an event coming up, or we have something planned with even family or friends, I'll kind of really work it up in my head and almost not want to go. And I never let it stop me from doing things. I always do them, but sometimes I could be there and be really quiet and just not myself, and I'll have like a ball of anxiety and butterflies in my stomach throughout the whole time. And I know that's not normal, and it's something I've always been trying to cope with. I've pushed through many anxieties. Like, I worked in a bar and I never ever thought I would. It's borderline anxiety, shyness as well. I'm quite an introvert as well, so it's hard to know if it is mental health or if it is just your personality. However, during lockdown, I've noticed a huge change in myself, like I said, and I'm sure there are so many people that can relate to this, especially if you have children. I've just been like, some days are worse, some weeks are worse than others, but there was one week where I was literally just sat staring, and I was like, I want this day to end. And nothing wrong had happened. Like, the kids were not being naughty. I have relatively good children, so it's not like I can say, oh, I'm stressed, because I was just stressed because I wasn't able to do my own thing. I wasn't able to do my work or edit my video. I'm not able to sit down on my phone for 5 minutes. So it's little things like that. And so that is why I self-referred myself, and they contacted me the next day. So if you have a child under 12 months, you're actually a priority. So they will make sure they get back to you before anyone else on their waiting lists. So I was contacted the next day to talk about having a self-assessment, which was done the following day. So this is now 2 days later since doing my self-referral, and she asked me some questions. First of all, she said, so what's wrong? And I kind of just flowed and said, you know, lockdown and everything that I've just said to you, basically. And I mentioned, she said, what about anxiety? And I've never really classed myself as having anxiety, but I know that there are things that aren't quite normal. Like I say to Adam, and he's like, yeah, no, that's not normal. Like, you're anxious about this. I could walk into somewhere and think everyone's looking at me, everyone's talking about me. And that is not normal to feel like that. But we never had people telling us about anxiety when I was at school. And that was only like, I don't know, 10 years ago. So anyway, she went through a questionnaire and I had to answer 0 to 3, 0 being the least, 3 being the worst. And they were just general questions. I'm such a negative person, I've noticed, since lockdown. And that's another thing. That's one of the main things that I wanted to change. Not my low moods, but my low moods are there because I'm being so negative about everything. Adam is such a positive person as well. And I think when you're around someone who's quite positive and chirpy and happy, you notice it more. So anyway, I've done my self-assessment, and she said that I am under the umbrella of depression and low mood. They ask you what you'd like, and I have gone for telephone counselling. So you can also do an online one where you don't speak to anybody really until you finish the course. But it's kind of like a course that you do yourself online to train your mind. However, I think I'm going to progress more speaking to somebody, because I think if I read something online, my mind would just not take it in and I'd put my own spin on it. Whereas if I'm talking to somebody and they notice that I'm perhaps being a bit negative, then they'll pull me up on it and say. So I'm on a waiting list, and those sessions, they're weekly sessions, they're going to start soon. They're 6 to 8 weeks depending on how they're going. But yeah, so I'm on a waiting list. But I thought I would share this and do this video because I think everyone has that kind of, well, everyone thinks everyone has a perfect life on Instagram, but nothing's perfect. And even when, like, I have nothing to be sad about, I have nothing to feel low about in comparison to other people. And sometimes that also makes me think, like, oh my God, sort yourself out. Like, you have a house, you have a family, you have kids, like, you're getting married. I have nothing to feel low about. And sometimes that makes it worse because it makes me think, well, why am I being like this? But yeah, I will take you on this journey with me, and whether I share it or not, I don't know. But I think it is, part of me does think it's important to share this kind of, I don't know, what is it, like everyday life, like problems. Everyone has some kind of problem, and it's up to you if you want to seek help or not. Within the waiting period of me waiting to have my CBT sessions, I had started boxing. So I started working out 3 times a week, and I had also come off my contraceptive pill because I was really it was starting to affect me. I was really noticing there was something wrong, and while I was waiting to have my CBT therapy, I thought I would make some changes as well. A few things that I really think contributed to me getting out of it, and I do think it's hard because I stopped them both at the same time, but the exercise massively helped me. I was meeting with friends like 3 times a week. I was socialising a little bit in between lunches, and then coming off the contraceptive pill. I have no proof which one has helped. Of course, then I started CBT. So it's a mixture of those 3 things. So it's kind of like, for me, breaking them down and thinking what one is helping the most. I stuck to doing all 3 of them for quite a few months. So the CBT session started, and every week I would speak to the same person, and she would go through a questionnaire and I would say how I was feeling on a scale of 1 to 5. They actually told me that I suffered with clinical social anxiety, which makes so much sense to me now. I've always knew I was an anxious person, and I always put it, growing up my mum would say it was shyness, but looking back at things now, it was anxiety. It is anxiety. There's just, yeah, lots of little things. If we go into a social event, my anxiety will, sometimes it's there and sometimes it isn't, but yeah, I suffer quite bad with like anxiety. And during August, when my low moods were really bad, we actually walked into a family party and I had to walk out because I was gonna cry. And that was the first time I've ever felt that kind of overwhelmed feeling, like I don't want to be here. It's never been that strong to the point where I've had to take myself out of a situation. But for the first time ever, I said to Adam, I have to go home. And that, I think that for me, that was like when I really knew that there was something that wasn't right. The CBT sessions, she would do questionnaires and you would answer 1 to 5, the same questions every week to see how you're getting on. And they were things like, have you been feeling anxious this week? Have you worried? How was your sleep being? Like all kinds of different things. She would tap into your past maybe, or she'll ask you like, why do you feel like this? And what I got out of my sessions was so important. I have just had my second CBT session over the phone, and it's been a funny few weeks. So I have started boxing 3 times a week, and I also come off the pill, and these started about 5 weeks ago. And from then I have seen a drastic change in my down days, which I like to call it. There has been like only one down day. There was like 2 weeks of absolutely nothing. And then this week I've just had like one down day, and I don't know if it's the result of coming off the pill. So I've come off the pill because I'd read that the side effects of the pill on it could lead to depression or your moods. It really affects your moods because it's a false hormone. So I decided to come off the pill, and it just so happened that the same week that happened, I started boxing. So I have no idea which one it is that's kind of been helping. Obviously, exercising releases the oxytocin, so makes you feel good and happy. But I'm just going to give it a little bit longer and see so that I can figure it out. But the CBT sessions are great as well. She sent me some really good kind of meditating techniques, breathing techniques, things to do if I'm feeling quite stressed or I'm going to lose my temper. And then today she kind of made me talk about my childhood. And it's funny because what about my childhood? There was nothing wrong with it. But yeah, she kind of picked up on things. So I grew up with just my mum, and then she's kind of basically said that I feel like I'm not enough because my dad was never around, and that just kind of like was like that. Wow, that is it. In every little thing I do, I feel like it's not enough, and that's where it's probably come from. And it's just insane that you can live your whole life and not, like, some people probably figure this all out for themselves, but for me it's happened through CBT therapy, and it's something that I never thought really bothered me. Like I had a fine childhood with my mum and my nan. Yeah, I always wanted a dad. I know him now, he's in my life now. But it's just one of them things that, yeah, like, wow, I'm always saying I'm not good enough. I'm always, everything I do, I doubt it. And I think, oh, I haven't done a good job. That's not good. The tidying isn't good enough. The little things like that
and it all stems down to that. So she basically has given me like a technique of, she said that when you're a child, you write a script for yourself. And my script was that I am not enough. And that she said as an adult, you can change that. She said by thinking about the things, the positive things about yourself. So I'm going to just try and focus on them things, see if that changes anything. But it is mad, like everything. I feel like I'm not a good enough mum. I say it all the time to Adam. And it's just mad that it's potentially come from that. It's, something that, so I don't even know if I'm going to carry on with these videos, but I just do want to say that if anybody is having any low moods, depression, anything, talk, because it really helps, and it has helped me. I don't know if it's been the CBT, I don't know if it's been the other things that I've mentioned, but it's helped me, and I've had better days from it. So better days are there, and they will come. You just have to wait, ride it out, and talk.
I'm very hard on myself. So like I said, the negative, trying to change my negative thought process, that is only something I can do. So she really tried to help me, just like as soon as like a negative thought comes into my mind, change it to a positive. I've basically trained my mind to go down a negative route. So when something positive happens, my brain automatically thinks of something negative. And she said that can be changed. It just takes time. So that is something I'm working on myself. A lot of it came down to being a mum and not feeling good enough, it's really weird, it's really hard to explain without going into too much, but just feeling like I'm not enough, I'm not doing enough, I'm not doing enough for the kids, I'm not doing enough with the kids, I was just constantly battling with myself. I had my CBT sessions for about 6 or 7 weeks, and they really helped me. Towards the end, I was feeling like I had nothing to talk to her about, because my days were just a lot better. I have pushed myself to try and be more social. Working from home and not working around other people and having children, you can kind of cancel plans a lot. You can put things off and find yourself being on your own all day just with the kids, or but I've really pushed myself to, obviously now we're in lockdown again, but before that I was meeting with friends 2-3 times a week. I was getting out walking every single day. I was working out still, and all of these played such a huge contributing effect to my mindset changing. I was by no means against having or going on to medication. I just wanted to try CBT first, because I didn't know if there was something wrong with me. Not wrong with me, that's the wrong word to put it, but I didn't know if what I was feeling was normal. But when I spoke to somebody, I realised it wasn't normal to keep putting myself down like that, and it wasn't normal for me to dread my days, and it wasn't bad of me to feel guilty. I would literally feel guilty if I was just sat with my kids, and the CBT therapy kind of showed me to, no, you're not just sat with your kids doing nothing, you're sat having quality time with your children. There was just so much. It helped me change my mindset massively, and I feel like I'm really going off. Like I feel like this is all such a jumble, but I just don't know where to start. I just want to tell you that if you're feeling down, if you can't explain it, and if you feel like you may be depressed, or you may have low moods, or you don't think it's a big deal, but there's something not right anymore, you feel a little bit different, to then reach out, speak to somebody, a friend, use my link that I'm going to share in the description box, have CBT therapy, or go and see your doctor, whichever one is easier for you. For me, I enjoyed having someone to talk to on the phone, because it wasn't face to face. I'm very much, I would put on a front, even if I had the worst day and somebody said to me, and it was a therapy session, how was your day? I wouldn't say I've had the worst day ever. I'd be like, oh, it was okay. But so it's finding what works for you, and this is something I am going to continue to keep an eye on in myself and make sure I'm looking after myself. A lot of it also came down to I wasn't feeding myself, and like she said, your body is like a car, and if you don't put fuel in it, it's gonna stop working. And I was literally getting to dinner time and realizing, oh my god, I've not eaten today, and all these little things. I always make sure I'm having breakfast now. So it's just having someone to guide you, and that has really helped me massively. I've not had days like I had in that first lockdown since changing these things. For me, those things really played a big part in helping me get through it. It could have got a lot worse if I hadn't have sought help, but for me, luckily, it's got better. So I just want to kind of share my story. It's not drastic, it's not a huge story, but I think it is what a lot of people, especially new mums or those at home with kids, or even just those at home on their own, probably will be going through. Being in lockdown is a surreal experience that none of us have ever gone through before, and yeah, it did make me question, was I like this before lockdown? And I've been a negative person. I have been a negative person for a very long time. That's something I've learned. But the low moods where it was like a dark cloud hanging over my head, and I just couldn't explain it to Adam. I would say to him, like, I don't know why I'm sad. Like I would sometimes just want to cry as well. So all these little things, you just, if you feel like, maybe start writing a diary, start writing down your mood, how you're feeling on certain days, trying to pinpoint what it is, and just please just speak to somebody, because it will get better, and it does get better. And definitely speak to your friends, because that will help. Because if I hadn't spoke to my friends, I wouldn't have got the link to the CBT therapy, and who knows how bad it could have got. If anyone has any extra tips or words of advice, please leave them in the comments below. I don't really know how this video is gonna come across when I edit it. I feel like I've kind of rambled, and I should have maybe structured it a bit better, but yeah, I just wanted to share my experience with mental health and how I got help, and you can do the same as well. So I hope it helps, and I hope you are feeling okay during this lockdown. I know this lockdown isn't as strict, but it's still a huge change that we all have to get used to. So I hope you're all keeping safe, but most importantly, making sure you're looking after yourself, because you have to. So I will see you all in my next video. Get ready for lots of organising videos coming up next week, just before Christmas, and I will see you soon. Bye.